it. And in the end it became a fact that we were never ever going to tame this bird down.
When Barry bought his parrot, no one told him it was completely wild. Like this bird, it had been captured abroad and imported. Wild parrots are very difficult to keep. Tame parrots like Monty here are much more friendly. Parrots are increasing as pets, so how do you make sure you don't repeat Barry's expensive mistake?
I knew it'd been duped and there was nothing I could do about it. I mean, I think I paid £365 for the bird. I was annoyed, you know, as anybody would be. And I suppose that's really what made me think, well, I'm going to get a tame one way or another. And that's how we got into parrots.
To find out the difference between wild and hand-reared parrots, I went to meet Rob Harvey, the South Zone parrot expert.
Basically, a hand-reared parrot is totally tamed, and a wild parrot really is wild. Come from the wild into a shop in this country, and they're only really used for breeding purposes. They do not make very good pets, because you take them home, they'd sit in a cage, and very difficult to tame down. A hand-reared bird is a bird that the egg was hatched in an incubator. It's been hand-reared by human beings, and about 12-14 weeks when they're full grown, they are totally and utterly tame, and very easy to keep tame and make wonderful pets.
Because of his nasty experience, Barry made quite sure that the next parrot he bought had been hand-reared. He was delighted with the way the new behaved.
The difference is amazing. I'm a tame parrot. It'll feed from you, it'll take stuff from you, it'll sit with you, it'll play with the dogs. It's totally different.
The main reason wild birds still sell is money. Because of the time and effort involved, hand-reared parrots are far more expensive than their wild cousins.
Well, they are more expensive. They can be 3 times the price. But the thing is, a parrot could live 40, 50 or 60 years, so it's a long-term thing if you're thinking of buying something. And it's very cruel to have a wild bird in your house because it will sit in a cage like a prison cell, and you never will tame it down. I get offered about 50 parrots a week from the general public who have bought a wild bird, found they cannot tame it tame, but they've fallen in love with it, and they want it to go to a good home. So it's definitely not something you want to try and do.
There are other good reasons not to buy wild birds. A hand-reared parrot is looked after from the moment the egg is laid. The same can't be said of birds caught in the wild. As these horrifying pictures show, parrots are kept in dreadful condition for export. Many birds die before they get to this country. They're also captured quite brutally. Sticks covered in glue are used to trap the birds in flight, and some hunters use drastic methods to get at the hatchlings in their nests.
You can imagine some tall tree with a cavity maybe like 30 metres up. No one really wants to climb up it, so they actually chop down the tree. They're transported in terrible conditions, quite often without any food or any water, and a lot of them die because of it.
An international treaty prevents the import and breeds of parrot into this country. The penalties can be stiff.
If you didn't have the necessary paperwork, you'd be fined, and that fine can be up to £2,000. And if you were regularly doing this, and of course for a commercial point of view, then you'd be liable to a jail sentence.
So if someone came to you and said, I'm just about to buy my first parrot, what sort of advice would you give them?
If you can,